Hi guys, welcome back. So I just thought today I would give you a little bit of an update on my reading. This probably won't go up for a little while after I film it, but since I already had my camera set up, I thought why not take advantage. I'm a few days into March doing this kind of Black Authors Matter reading, and I've been trying to read mostly Black authors, and it's going really well, and it's just been good. So I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of an update, tell you what I've read so far, what I'm in the middle of, and how things are going. So the first thing that I picked up this month is a book that it's good I did, because it is now due back at the library and there's a waiting list of people like wanting to get a hold of it, so I'm glad I got it. This is The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. I did finish it. It's so good, you guys. This is the second book in the trilogy. The first book is the 5th season, which actually won a Hugo Award. It's like a fantasy... It's almost like a hybrid, to be perfectly honest. The more I get into it, it's like a hybrid fantasy sci-fi, maybe dystopian. I don't know. It's like a dystopian fantasy sci-fi sort of mashed together, but it's, oh man, dude, the series is so good. I really want to pick up book 3 now, because this one sort of ended in a place where I'm like, I want to know what happens next and read more. It's really good. If you're looking for an adult sort of fantasy series that deals with serious issues but is just like really well written, great world building, good storytelling, interesting complex characters, I highly recommend this series. It also deals a lot with things like oppression and slavery and prejudice and climate change. A lot of those, particularly in book 1. Book 2 was really interesting, I thought, because this one focuses a lot more on like family relationships, so like parent-child relationships and husband-wife relationships, and how like social pressures, social prejudice, and systemic social inequalities can create like negative cycles and cycles of pain and affect our interpersonal relationships and our familial relationships. Yeah, so that I thought was really interesting, and it's, you know, it's not as overt because it's not a contemporary, so it's not like set in our world where you're seeing, but you just see through the storytelling the ways in which that happens, and I think you can draw some pretty clear lines to ways that happens in our world. So anyway, there's a lot of really intense, like deep stuff in here. This would be a good book club book too, to be honest. The whole series is so good. So I am hoping to fairly soon finish this series because it's really fantastic, so I'm glad I picked that one up. And then the other book that I finished so far this month by a Black author was one that I just like sped through in a day and was floored by how good it was. Like, to be honest, I was like, oh, this will be fun, but I was not really expecting it to be anything amazing. But Miles Morales Spider-Man by Jason Reynolds, you guys, this book is so freaking awesome. Like, superhero novelizations are usually nothing all that special, but this was so good. I am quickly becoming a big fan of Jason Reynolds. I never really read the comics all that much. I grew up with Spider-Man, the animated stuff, and I've seen the movies, but apparently there is this sort of spin-off about another Spider-Man named Miles Morales, and he's Black and Puerto Rican, at least in the book, but also lives in Brooklyn. And the way it's set up here is that his uncle was involved in crime and had stolen some tech from the company that created the like spider that bit Peter, and a spider sort of stowed away in that stuff and then bit Miles, and Miles then becomes like Spider-Man too. So that's sort of like the backstory to it. But it's just really good. He's this like smart, nerdy kid from Brooklyn who goes to a prestigious boarding school on scholarship, and it's really good. It's really funny and it's really cute, and he is just like such a lovable, great character, but also a teenage boy who's sometimes like really awkward and does funny, dumb things. But the thing that really made this amazing is, while like parts of it are really funny and fun and cute, it also deals with some pretty intense things like racism and racially unequal incarceration in our country, and social inequalities and systemic inequalities that perpetuate themselves in cycles, and it's done really well. It's really good. And the villain, because you know there's got to be a villain in Spider-Man, the villain is good. It's creepy. It wasn't what I expected, and the sort of evil master plan is extremely racist. So this is really good, surprisingly good. It's also a really quick read. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's like 250 pages, but like, man, does it pack a punch. So, yeah, I highly recommend this one. And then I'm not very far into either of these, but I have started reading a couple of other books that are on my TBR. The first one is The Darkest Child by Dolores Phillips, and this is an advanced copy of a new edition of this book, but the original was published in like 2004 and was a huge bestseller. I read the introduction and I read a couple of chapters, and so far I'm intrigued. I think this is going to be one that is going to be maybe harder to read at times, given what I'm seeing. I think it's a coming-of-age novel. The main character is a 13-year-old girl living in Georgia in the late 1950s and during Jim Crow era, and dealing with a lot of the sort of problematic and negative things that women in particular faced during that time period, and women of color faced during that time period. So I have heard that it's amazing and really incredibly well written, but also deals with some pretty heavy themes. So I'm not very far into this, but I am definitely looking forward to continuing it. And then the other one that I just barely started, but I'm definitely enjoying it so far, I think it's going to be an interesting one, is An Extraordinary Union by Alyssa Cole. And this you know, shouldn't take too long. It's another shorter one. It's like 250 pages long, but it's a romance novel set during the Civil War, with our main character being a young woman of color who is a spy for the Union Army. So she is a former slave who returns to the South to serve her country, and then somehow a romance kind of gets thrown in there too. And I'm not very far into it, so I have some suspicions about how the plot might go, but I'm not really sure yet. But so far it's really good. It's really interesting. It's really well written. It seems like it's actually researched. Like, this is not your typical romance novel. This is something that's really got some serious meat to it. So yeah, I've heard great things about it. I'm really excited to get further into it. All right, so that is where I'm at so far. This month has been going great. Yeah, I'm loving the things that I'm reading, and I will say, you know, a lot of really serious themes. So like, I've been sort of breaking it up occasionally with like throwing in some other things that I need to read that are not quite so serious, but I do think there's a lot of really important things being talked about here, and they're all just really good too. So anyway, talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know if you guys have read any of these, if you're interested in them. I just thought I would give you a quick little update because I got my whole setup here, so I might as well make use of it. If you guys like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.